So let's start with the rapid fire round. First question, at what age do you want to retire?
Today,
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
20 minutes.
Most embarrassing moment of your life?
When my son was playing tennis and I didn't know not to cheer when opponent double falls.
Favorite color?
Lavender,
What time of day are you most inspired?
5:30 a.m. in the morning.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
At minimum 6 hours, maximum 10.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened?
New York,
Pick one, Mark Zuckerberg or Sam Altman.
Mark Zuckerberg.
How do you relax?
Watching my kids play tennis or binge watch with my husband Netflix.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
I used to drink 3, now 2.
A habit of yours that you dislike?
Overthinking.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life?
Today is truly present.
Your favorite Netflix show?
Recently, Diplomat, I had too many, but Diplomat I recently watched, yes. Season 2,
Early riser or night owl?
early riser by far.
One word description of your leadership style?
Empathy, empathetic.
Coffee or tea to kickstart your day?
Coffee,
Top priority in your daily schedule?
number 1 is to exercise. Number 2 is to really make a difference in a client conversation.
Ideal vacation spot for relaxation?
I am not a beach vacation type of person, but mostly history. So just getting lost in the history, um, that inspires me.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance?
Setting the expectation with your management, but more importantly, really having a sticky note with the key priority items day by day. I have my to-do list first thing in the morning.
What are the most exciting innovations then that you see happening right now in the world of global payments and cloud banking?
Um, Global payments, let's start from there. IBM has been the leader for core banking platforms over decades, if not centuries. They are the first one who introduced the check processor, like in what 1920, if not before that, right? So coming from that to the digital assets to the stable coin we heard yesterday, it's a quite journey in a global payments. So the biggest innovation I have seen is the embedded payments, right? So if you look at it, not just to Uber, like I had a women in payments, I had a co-panelist from Qualcomm, and we talk about how the payment is seamless in the IoT, including the cars, including the paying the tolls, the EVs, and everything else. EV charging. So that fascinates me. That embedded payments in everything we do, where payment is completely seamless. The second part is the cross-border payments, the real-time payments, right? So it's not just for domestic, but also the cross-border payments, which really pushing the limits of the traditional methods like SWIFT, right? And having that ability to settle the payment right away, in home and the overseas, I think that's something I'm really excited for. And IBM pays a lot of energy behind of those rails. There are many, but AI, we have seen it, stablecoin and CBDC, which is a government-backed digital currency, is taking a center stage in many parts of the world today. And last but not least is the security. No matter what we do, fraud is the center of everything we do, right? So how do you really help to combat the fraud but more importantly, predict it with the predictive AI and prevent it. I think that's a lot more exciting. And there are so many different ways to dissect, but those are the five things that stands out for me from a global payment side. From the IBM cloud side, or just in general, the cloud side, I would say number one is the interoperability, right? That you have a check account, you have mortgage account, you have a stable coin. Like, how do you make sure that your credentials, account credentials, card credentials in your Apple wallets to everywhere is the safe? And it saves the time for people to operate from a same credentials in a different part of the world, different payment rails, as well as the different type of the payment methods. So that's the number one in my opinion. The second part is mostly about banking as a service with the composable architecture, right? That you cannot just, you know, build the API cloud infrastructure for tier one banks working in a major global bank. Clearly, it defines that I think when I read it, about 85% of workload, it's still on the mainframe in a monolithic fashion. I'm talking about system of records, right? I'm talking about true core banking processing happens in a non-cloud environment. So how do you move the data from system of records to system of engagement? AI is a system of insights, right? So that's through only possible with the API microservice driven architecture, which cloud allows. So having that composable architecture, banking as a service, and majority of the fintechs here, that's what they offer. Out of the box, you can have account opening, you can have a KYC, you can have a lending capability, right? So those are the key trends that cloud technology allows bank to modernize their infrastructure.
How do banks ensure scalability and future proofing while implementing all these modern security and compliance solutions?
It is a very good question, and it's a fine act, fine balancing act, because it's no easy for any bank to just flip the switch, right? It requires them to really invest in the governance that before they introduce any new technology, what could be the potential risk? So having that governance risk framework ethics in place as a founding principle certainly helps. So that's number one. In terms of the scalability, you don't have to move everything at once. You still have a on-prem applications, and there will be some of the workloads will be on a mainframe over the next decade, right? So having that incremental modernization plan, understanding what we can, we used to call 4 Rs, which is retire, which one application is not used today and easy to really retire, right? So the retire is the first one. The second one is the replatform. Can we literally lift and shift and make it quickly the cloud native work, right? So that's another one. The third one is the replatform and re-architect, right? That where you still need that business capability, but you need a newer architecture. And the last one is the rebuild, right? That which one is not in existence, not possible for us to modernize, but let's just bring a partner or bring a somebody who has done this, if not bring the talent who can help us to build it. So that's how I see it, that it's not an overnight job. It won't be an overnight job for next few years, but really understanding your appetite for risk, understanding your priorities. If time to market is a priority, I would rather go the last hour than go find a partner, rebuild it. Your priority is to really TCO, then figure out, which is a total cost of savings, then figure out what is not working, retire, and repurpose that money to somewhere else.
How exactly do you then see hybrid cloud and AI transforming the payments landscape in general?
Um, Hybrid cloud allows, as I said, majority of the banks to have a leapfrog into monolith on-prem to the microservice-based architecture. So that's number one. The hybrid cloud also allows them to take advantage of the latest technologies like AI, for example, right? Which allows them to understand the customer patterns, customer spending patterns, have provide them the personalized experience. So if I buy shoes on Amazon and if I like a brand, it happened to be a tennis, for example. So they would have a recommendation for me what are the best category of sneakers in the tennis industry, for example, right? So having that personalized experience, personalized way to target the new products allows them to not just build the innovation but accelerate the growth. So that's definitely happening, and we have seen many use cases there. It also helps us to understand the security. So one of the cloud architecture we call zero trust architecture, right? So no implicit trust. And what it does is that by default, we deny everything. So any every single workload transaction flowing from one point to other, it's constantly checking for authentication, make sure it's a right authorization so there is no identity theft, but at the same time it's fast enough to get settled in a required time frame. So having that scalability, built-in compliance, security, end to end, having a ability to scale up with the AI, and at the same time having a flexibility to modernize at your own pace. I think cloud and AI, hybrid cloud and AI, are really a clear distinct factors for any modernization.
Speaking of use cases, then, are there any real world examples where hybrid cloud and AI have already improved payment efficiency or security?
Yeah, let's start with the fraud. Like, it used to be a manual fraud, depends on, and it was very reactive. If you call it in a decade ago, if there is a misuse of your credit card transaction, you get a call that did you make this purchase? Like I had a my son was using my card. He was in Europe. I was in New York. We both went to a coffee shop at the same time, and I got the fraud alert that, and he got rejected his transaction because mine went that you cannot be in a two country at the same time, right? So by the time I got the transaction alert, I pay attention and I called them back. It was too late. In this case, it wasn't the fraud, but having that fraud built in, the response to the fraud was delayed. With the hybrid cloud and AI, you can build this in a rule set where people can really understand what the fraud patterns are based on your behaviors, based on your travel plans, based on our spending habits, and really vet out the false positives, right? And I have seen significant difference and the in a fraud detection as well as the fraud prevention, leveraging the AI, machine learning, as well as the hybrid cloud.
So it's inspiring to see your dedication to supporting women and girls in IT through mentorship. What motivated you to start this initiative, and what stories of growth or success have stood out to you along the way?
There are many. I would start, when I joined a workforce after finishing my computer science, I realized that not many people in the room I was there, either it's a government job or any other job, look like me, talk like me, or just women in general. It was very male dominated finance technology world. But I was fortunate enough to have leaders, men and women both, who really saw the potential before I seen myself, and they helped me to navigate the world. And they nominated me for the role, which I thought I was not ready. But they figured out that the some of the transferable skills, soft skills, the technical skills I had, which allowed me to climb the career at much accelerated rate. So having that, I just thought it's no brainer. I had to pay back. That's as a human, that's a list you can do. And when I was nominated to chair women's leadership at one of the largest banks, I see the firsthand support and at the same time need for for mentorship and what it can do wonders to women like myself. So when I came here at Money 2020, I've been coming for many years now, and Rise Up and Amplify, I've been speaking, and now it's official that I'm the mentor, and I'm very feel privileged that I have a mentee. So I feel sense of urgency and responsibility to help out. And it's at the end of the day, it's not about making myself known as a mentor, but really making others to see their potential, like how my mentors did for myself. And that's the difference I would like to make.
What do you think then other organizations in tech and finance can do to scale similar mentorship efforts and make the industry more inclusive overall?
So yesterday, Tracy, chairman for the Money 2020, had a talk with us at the Rise Up and Amplify, and she mentioned that based on the survey, banking has seen the highest decline women in leadership role, and that is a very eye-opening fact. Unfortunate, but it's a fact. Where I come from, and I have seen, and including myself, unconscious bias, I think that is the biggest contributor. Again, it's Kami's opinion. I don't know the survey out there. That really is out there. Just and we all have it. We don't realize it that we have that unconscious bias, but having a formal training in other financial or any enterprises open up the eyes with the real time examples. It's the very first thing anybody can do. And second part is to have a formal agenda. So in one of my prior role, we had agenda to have 30% club, which is every layer of the organization. We wanted to have a 30% of women presence at the table, starting from a CEO table all the way to the developer, programmer level, right? So having that metrics where you have a visibility, accountability to promote, retain, and grow minority as well as the women's population. I think that is a key. And then the third thing is that how do you enable that, right? And that comes with the programs like I chaired before, women's leadership program, where you can introduce as simple as building an executive presence, building a mentor relationship, and have some high potential pair up with some of the executives on a daily basis, allows them to see what could be the potential future for them. So there are many ways, but in my mind, having a unconscious bias training targeted with a certain specific use case, having a official agenda to grow a certain population like women, minorities, and a certain roles, and having their resources allowing them to grow. I think those are the keys.
So, the very last question then is based on more like you said, your dad was in banking, you're in banking and tech. But the last question we ask all our speakers is of a personal kind. What would you be doing in your life if not this?
If I was not in a computer field or where I am, I would have been gemologist. I love jewelry, number one. As you can tell, I have the jewelry I'm wearing. The second I like is the architecture. I really like architecture. And through all both channels, the idea is to help the true artists to shine and give them a platform to shine on. So that's something I would like to do if I retire today. I am Kamini Belday. I work for IBM, head of global payments for IBM Cloud.